Now, this is the situation between the NPA and SML. Somebody asked the question, and that came up, that the NPA is already doing that, and that SML is duplicating what the NPA does. So we went into that and spoke to NPA people, spoke to customs people, and spoke to the SML people. And this is what we found out across the conversations. NPA's purpose of receiving that data, the information of how much petrol has been set out, is for the purpose of monitoring markets for policy formulation and standard compliance. So NPA is looking at the product and being sure that there's no water in the fuel. When you say you are doing V-Power, you're actually doing V-Power. And then when you distribute the fuel, they look at it and see that at Christmas time, more was distributed here. So when it's Christmas, we should do more. NPA's purpose is not for taxes. NPA's purpose is for policy formulation and standards compliance. That's what NPA does. So when the documentary maker says that SML is duplicating NPA's work, it just means that they were actually very, very lazy. They didn't go beyond. They were just too lazy. And that's the thing they say about us journalists all the time. You people are lazy. You people are lazy. Why do you do this? Always making the younger generation of journalists struggle with image, because you are dissipating the image with this kind of poor documentaries. Very, very poor work. Can't you do work for people to applaud? What is this? You look at NPA. There are so many lawyers in Ghana. There are so many people in petroleum industry in Ghana. You can go to any of them and say that, what does NPA do? And what? Because journalists don't know everything. We don't know everything. But you have to have the presence of mind that because you are going to educate people, you have to ask. And the people who are listening to us, some of them are knowledgeable. They always turn off their radio and get angry in their car. That what are they blowing? They are blowing hogwash. You don't even know what they are talking about. Don't be a journalist that you talk and people say you don't know what you are talking about. You are dissipating the image of the profession. Manasseh, it's you I'm talking about. Stop that. Every day you do something is wrong. The last time you said VRA gave contract, they said they didn't give contract. Today you say something and Ghana Revenue Authority comes out. They say they didn't do that. You say contract is 5 years. They say no. You say it's 10 years. They say no, it's 5 years. It's on the document. Didn't you read the document? I mean, why? What is all this? Well, SML is here. They are there specifically to find the information for the purposes of tax monitoring. Taxes. They are looking at how much taxes is due. How much taxes should accrue to the GRA? That's their work. They are checking the fuel for the purpose of taxes. So all they are checking is how much fuel did you deliver. They are not even going into, is it good fuel? Is it fuel and water? Have you add ajongo to it? Have you add cooking oil to it? What is happening? They are not doing that. They don't have the capacity to do that. All they have been asked to do is to find out how much was sent so that we can tax them. NPA is doing something else and something perhaps more important, which is to find out the assurance of the standards of the fuel in the tank. So they are asking the same as that data. So they are doing two different things. And when we were told that there's a duplication, we were interested in the duplication story. So we began to investigate it, and then we came across this. And it was people who told us, people we called and said, listen, you have been in petroleum for that long. Explain to us, what does NPA do? Then they explain, and this one explains, oh, we got the idea, we understand it now. That's all. That's what journalism is about. You ask questions, don't you? Anyway, so this is what they do. So that's why you can see that there's a difference there's a difference between the two of them. Now here's the contract. Okay, I'll go to this. This is a Ministry of Public Procurement Authority. This is from the Public Procurement Authority, signed by Frank Mante. Let's see the details about the contract. Okay, it's here. It says, we refer to your letter number so and so and dated 20th September 2023, and our subsequent response number so and dated 26th September 2023 on the above subject matter. At the 46th board meeting of the 5th PPA board held on Wednesday, 20th September 2023, the board granted approval to Ghana Revenue Authority to use the single source procurement method in accordance with section so and so as amended to re-engage the services of measures Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, SML, for the expansion of scope of work to include upstream petroleum products and minerals and metal resources value chain audit, verification and monitoring for a duration of 5 years at a service fee of $0.75 per barrel of petroleum products per month and 0.75% of the total volume value of mineral resources monitored by SML Nova exported per month. This letter supersedes our approval letter of date so and so and so and so. This is another letter, isn't it? This is another letter. So this is the first letter. So SML were already working. Now, because they were able to report from 350 to 450, the Ghana Revenue Authority decided that we should add more to their work. Now they are monitoring what they call in the petroleum industry downstream. Downstream is the retail, the one that we go and buy. Upstream is the people who are digging. They are exploring and digging the oil from the ground. I don't know, they are ground, but they call them upstream. This is on the underground, but we call it downstream. What can you do? It's terminologies of the experts in the industry. So downstream is the retail. Upstream is the one that they are inside the water, under the water, bringing up oil. Now, the work of SML was so well appreciated that it was determined and decided that they should also go and do petroleum downstream. That's where the problem came. The problem of corruption. That is where the corruptors were sounded. The alarm bells started sounding in the mind of the corrupt people that, hey, we are going to be in trouble. The thing they've done to downstream, they are bringing it here. We will not allow it. Who can we use? Then they come and call some journalists. Come. They know he doesn't understand. They tell him, look, take this thing here. Go and do a documentary and then put it out and say that SML is bad, that they should cancel the contract. And then minority in parliament says that government should review the contract. That's what happens in Ghana. Please, get me Colin Powell, Get me Colin Powell's quote. I'll come to it. That's what happens in Ghana these days. That's what happens. And then everything is obscured and everything media say, they bulldoze their way around. And then only few people are able to see that they have not even done proper work. They have not even done proper work. They have not done proper work. So this is it. So now this is the other letter that was signed by, this is Frank Ejechu. Let me get the other letter. I was going to it. Okay, this is that's the other letter. Okay, great. Thank you. The other letter is signed by Adom-Otchere. He's called Chef de Cabinet at the Ministry of Finance, and it's a letter entitled Expansion of the Scope of Work by Mrs. Strategic Mobilization Limited. Let me read it. The Honorable Minister has determined that there is a need to monitor the production and shipment of oil and gold out of Ghana. To this end, he would like to expand the scope of the revenue assurance work being performed by SML to include upstream oil drilling by the oil production companies and the gold mining companies. This number 2, please put a letter there. This number 2 is where the problem came. The minister says that to this end, he will appeal to expand the scope of the revenue assurance work being performed by SML to include upstream oil drilling by oil production companies and the gold mining companies as well. That's where the problem started. So Minister of Finance says, is that what is happening? So the 350 they were reporting all the time was wrong. They could have actually reported 450 plus 100 million, 350 million. They could have reported 450 million. That is the deficit of 100 million liters of petroleum products over which taxes were not paid because it was not declared. So if you are Minister of Finance, if I'm Minister of Finance, if any normal person is Minister of Finance, he will look at this company and say, can we give you some more work to do? The people who also produce our oil and sell it abroad, we don't even know. We don't know how they do it. We don't know how many times they do it. This is a letter signed by Adom-Otchere, so it's signed to the Commissioner General. So that's the letter. Ministry of Finance says that they should give them upstream as well. So the upstream people start getting concerned that, hey, the thing they are doing at downstream, they're coming to do it here again, and then they turn it upside down. You see, that is Ghana. They turn it up. Black is white, white is black, red is blue, blue is red, and then we are all rolling into it like that. Get me Colin Powell's code. Please get us ready. I'll deal with it. Now, this upstream, now I'll come to that in a minute. Hold it. This upstream situation is very complicated, this upstream situation. Because not too long ago, please put on the Reuters thing. Not too long ago, it was reported here in Ghana. Here it is. Ghana says defective meter, no risk to oil measures. Now, the story here is that a defective measuring instrument on Ghana's only offshore oil platform does not threaten the ability to track crude exports, the operator said, in a move to assuage fears that the country's oil revenue could be hit. An ultrasonic meter that monitors oil export flows has not worked since before the first oil in December last year. The failure has sparked concerns that Ghana could fail to capitalize fully on its crude production. This is from Reuters. Can you imagine that, viewers? Tullow Oil, they are something ultrasonic meter that monitors the oil. It stopped working. The ultrasonic meter that tells us, all of us, that this is how much oil Tullow has drilled, this is how much they've sold, this is how much taxes will be due to the government, because taxes are calculated on the gross of what you have sold. That instrument, it got faulty. And globally, people were suggesting that Ghana is going to be in trouble because you don't know how much oil. This is the kinds of situations we are coming from. And that is why the Minister of Finance will say that SML, go and monitor the oil as well. Go and monitor the upstream oil. Go and do it for us. This is the problem. This is the problem. This is the issue. This is all what it's about. No more, no less. Because some people know that their pilfering and pillage is going to come to an end. Because righteousness is coming. Once righteousness is coming, the evil will run away because the light will shine and the darkness will go away. And they have seen what has happened at downstream. Now, Kenneth Ofori-Atta says, please, also go to upstream. And you haven't even heard the words, the one that we all complain about. Gold. The other day, they told us that the Chinese mined $5 billion worth of gold from here and promised that they'll give us $3 billion. They didn't even give it to us. They give us a $3 billion loan, a so-called CBD loan. It didn't come. But they took $5 billion worth of gold out of here in 5 years, illegally, informally, just like that. So Kenneth Ofori-Atta says, can you do this with gold as well? They say, oh, we can. So can you go and stand at Newmont and AGC and tell us actually how much? Oh, yes, we can. They said they can. That is what is bringing this documentary. Can you imagine how embarrassing it looks now? That journalists were called so that they would do something, a documentary, to cripple the states and benefit individuals. That's what they have done. To cripple the states and benefit individuals. And they will talk about corruption. They are anti-corrupt. Put their photograph there. Put their photograph there. Suleiman Brahma, Manasseh Azuri, Professor Kwame Kaikari. Put their photograph there. Them. Yes, 1, 2, 3. Them. Manasseh Azuri, Suleiman Brahma, Professor Kwame Kaikari. It is their work. They have been doing this. They did this thing. That they want to cripple the republic and benefit individuals. Didn't they see that since SML came in, revenue has shot up by a whole 100 million? Didn't they appreciate and understand? Didn't they look at the documents of the minister to see that the contract was 5 years? Manasseh said the contract was 10 years. A whole totally flawed assessment. To completely flaw. How does a journalist get that wrong? The thing is in the document. If you are looking for the contract, call for the contract. You people are the apostles of RTI. So use RTI to call for the contract. We didn't have any difficulty getting the contract because the people have nothing to hide. They said, here's the contract. It went from Ministry of Finance to GRA to procurement. So everybody has seen it. We don't have anything to hide. Here is it. Clearly in the contract, it's written down 5 years. Then in a documentary, Professor Kwame Kari supervised the documentary. In that documentary, Manasseh comes and says 10 years. And everybody saying, oh, but where did he get the 10 years from? Manufacturing details to protect private people who are not in the interest of who are not seeking the interest of the republic. Manufacturing details. Now they do the documentary and they manufacture and they say they are anti-corruption people. You see, that's how sometimes Ghana works. Black is white, white is black. Because they form a narrative and they propaganda it. So their work here is to ensure that SML's contract is cancelled because that's what they've been called to do. And they've been called to do that by evil men and women. That's what they've been called to do. And they don't even have the presence of mind, I should say, to look at the document and assess it for themselves and say that, where's the problem? Let's understand the problem. What is SML to do? Why we're not able to solve the problem? That's what they should be doing, which is very easy to do. It took us only 2-3 hours to finish this week. And I guess calling people, calling revenue authority and all of that. That's about it. Why do they do these things all the time? Why do they do that all the time? Don't they understand that the journalism is changing and people are looking for facts and quality, and people understand quality because they watch us, they watch CNN, they watch Sky News, they watch Fox News, and they are going to compare with the journalism they see there and the journalism we do here. These people, very sick. Professor Kwame Kari is so seasoned. Suleiman Brahma has spent a lot of his time on media training and media teaching and all of that. Manasseh has spent a lot of his time on investigative reporting. This is the kind of work they produce all the time. This is the work they produce. They produce work and it's factually erroneous. Everything is an error. That's the work they produce. But that's a sad, not about them, nothing to do with them. But for us, Because then people look at journalists and forget about them. Journalists, they don't know anything. That is why when you're a journalist and you buy a car, they say, where did you get the money from? It's because of Manasseh's poor work. It's Manasseh's poor work. When a lawyer buys a car, they don't ask him where he got the money from. Because they remember Peter Ajete. They remember Nana Akufo-Addo. They remember J.O.T. Ajeman. They remember those people. They remember Philip Archer. And they see that lawyers have a great image. So if you're a lawyer and you have a car, it's okay. If you're a journalist, you have a car. Why did you get a car? Because of Manasseh's poor work. They wonder why a journalist got a car. When he bought a tie, journalist, where did you get sued from? Journalist. Common journalist. Common. When they say common, they don't mean common. They mean foolish boy. That's what they say. When they say common journalist, they don't mean common. They mean foolish boy. They just can't say the foolish boy because they have to be courteous. Because of this poor work. But if we put work there that is distinguished, we put a documentary that is to be applauded, people see a journalist, they'll say yes. When they see Richard Quest, they say that's a journalist. When they see Larry King, they say that's a journalist. Manasseh Azure, he will put some poor work. Very, very poor work. You go and look at a document, you can't even interpret a simple document. And you go and write wrong things. That is 10 years when the document says it's 5 years. You have not even understood the problem that you are solving. They don't understand the problem. They've just been railroaded by somebody, giving some information, go and say it. Then they go and say it. Why are we doing this? The new generation of journalists must change that. Let's put up work that is sophisticated. Work that when people see, they'll clap. That's the kind of work we should be doing. But this kind of work they do, where is it from? You do work as soon as you finish GRA issue statement. How many times have we done a documentary here that you see that somebody has issued statement? How many times? How many times have we done people's tributes, Kojo Chikata's tributes, you put facts, that you see people issue statement, hey, good evening, Ghana, you were wrong. No way, it will never happen because we till the ground. We burn the midnight oil to assess the work. Why? Because we have respect for our viewers. We don't want to put out something to our viewers that tomorrow morning they drive the car, they say, oh, the thing you were watching was wrong. They will stop watching, they will tune off. Why can't they have the same presence of mind, the same responsibility, the same altruistic attitude to be able to do the right thing? And almost always, they have a penchant for catching people, and so they just come up with just wrong.